What is up, guys? Lone Hawk here today, and welcome back to Overwatch. In today's video, we have something special for you all. The ultimate guide for Widowmaker. We're going to take an extremely in-depth look at Widowmaker, break down her entire kit, and teach you how to become a sniping master. Because honestly, Widowmaker is one of the most fun heroes in Overwatch, in my opinion, and I want to share what I know through watching very good Widowmakers and my own experiences with you. So let's jump right into it here today with her strengths and weaknesses. The biggest strength that Widowmaker has is by far the fact that she is, hands down, the best carry hero in Overwatch in the right hands. No hero compares to Widowmaker when it comes to sheer influence in a game when they're very good at their hero. It used to be Genji, now it's Widowmaker. Even Hanzo doesn't really compare when you think about Widowmaker's other strengths, which is that she can one-shot more than half the heroes in the game with a hit scan weapon, so they have no time to react or get away. It goes without saying that her outplay potential is massive. Combinations of her primary weapon, her grapple, and her venom mine make her a tricky target to take out when the enemy Widowmaker knows what she's doing and has an escape route ready, which we'll go over later. For now though, let's talk about her weaknesses, because with all those great strengths, you may think she's just the best hero in the game, when that's just not the case. Widowmaker does suffer from glaring weaknesses, one of them being her close range combat is abysmal. Her rifle turns into like an SMG when you aren't scoped in, but it does minimal damage compared to a lot of heroes, and you won't be able to win many fights with it. On top of this, her grappling hook, when it's on cooldown, means she's gonna be very vulnerable, and it has a 12-second cooldown as well. So after you use it for 12 seconds, you're kind of stuck in a very small area that you really can't escape from, making you extremely vulnerable. And then on top of this, because of her high outplay potential, there is a lot of potential to just not be good at her. You need to have good aim, you need to have good game sense, and you will have to practice her. She is not an easy hero to play. Let's move on now and talk about her abilities, starting with her primary weapon, her Widow's Kiss. In unscoped mode, this serves as sort of an SMG or assault rifle, fires at 10 rounds per second, and does 13 damage per shot, which is about 130 DPS. Not that high for an assault hero, because her real strength is when she scopes in. When she scopes in, shots charge up over time, and each shot, no matter how charged it is, uses 3 rounds of ammo from your magazine. At minimum charge, your shots only deal 12 damage, which is less than the damage of an SMG shot, so you really shouldn't be firing at no charge unless someone is seriously on a sliver of HP. At maximum charge though, you deal 120 damage, which might not sound like a lot, but we have to consider one thing. Widowmaker's headshots deal 2.5 times damage, unlike many heroes in the game which are only 2 times damage, which means when you headshot someone, you still do 300 damage to the head with a fully charged shot. That can one-shot a lot of heroes. It only takes 2 shots to take out a Roadhog. The first rule for this weapon is always go for headshots. They nerfed her body shot damage a while ago, and Widowmaker just isn't the same when you're going for body shots. You really need to go for those headshots, because if you land them, they're going to be much more rewarding than any body shots. So what my rule of thumb is try to get fully charged shots off on anyone on full HP. It sounds stupid, it sounds basic, but lots of players tend to spam shots more than they should. If the enemy is on full HP, you should definitely go for a fully charged shot, with the exception of enemy Widowmakers, which we're going to talk about later. Widowmaker 1v1s are different than normal fights. But in general, go for that fully charged headshot on your first shot. After this though, sometimes you'll find that either you missed the headshot and you landed a body shot, or someone else shot at an enemy and they're on low HP. In these scenarios, you should be doing 2 things. 1, going for body shots if you know a body shot is all it takes to kill them, because those are easier to land and you should have an easier time securing the kill. And also, if they're about to escape around a corner or go behind a shield, shoot at them no matter what your charge is at right before they escape your line of sight. It doesn't matter if you're fully charged or half charged. If they're about to escape your line of sight and they're on low HP, or even if they're on high HP, go for that shot off on them, take a chip of damage off of them, and sometimes you'll actually be able to get the kill. Before we continue talking about Widowmaker's playstyle, playstyle and how you should be using her, let's go over her other abilities because they're also very crucial to her kit. The first ability we'll talk about is her grappling hook. This is an ability I see a lot of young Widowmakers doing wrong. People that aren't experienced with Widowmaker tend to use their grappling hook in very poor scenarios. I read a guide that said you should be using grappling hook on cooldown. I don't agree with this at all. There are some times you should be using it on cooldown, but you have to remember it's on a 12-second cooldown, and when it's offline, you are extremely vulnerable to people like Genji, to people like Winston, and you don't want that. You want to have this ability up in those situations. So first, before fights break out, use your grappling hook to find a good location. A good location is something where you are far away from your enemies and you are using your range to your advantage. You can usually see the choke point or the point, whatever it is, and you're in a good spot far away from danger. A good point also always has some form of escape that you can use with your grappling hook. If you are in a good position to snipe, but there is nowhere to escape to if someone jumps on you or you're about to die, it isn't a very good position because someone's going to take you out. Make sure you always have that escape route planned in your mind. That way you don't have to think about it when you get jumped on. And also, try to make it so where you're sniping from and wherever your escape route is, both have access to your team, meaning supports can heal you in both positions. That way you can't get taken out as easily. If your escape route escapes to somewhere where your team can't see you and there's nothing around, Genji can just follow you and chase you, and so can Winston if we're being honest. So a good escape allows you to get away from the person jumping on you while still being with your team or near a health pack or something that can help you survive a little bit longer. Now, as far as using your grappling hook, because I just kind of talked about locations there, your grappling hook obviously should A, be used to get to your initial sniping location, and B, to escape. Other than that, you're going to want to save it to escape, except for a few scenarios. If the enemy team has a dive composition and there's someone that can jump on you very easily, save it to escape. However, if the enemy team is running a very push-heavy composition, like they're running McCree and Soldier 76, as well as Zarya and Roadhog, no one can really jump on you in that composition. There's no one that can really catch you off guard. So you can use your grappling hook a little more liberally, a little more off cooldown, because your escapes can just be running away. You don't need the grapple to jump away from someone that just jumped on top of you. So keep these things in mind, keep your enemy team comp in mind, and use your grappling hook accordingly. If you've watched Kefri play Widowmaker, you'll know that he does these jump shots with his grappling hook. Your grappling hook gives you a lot of momentum, so if you hit spacebar right before you hit the place where you grappled to, you'll maintain your momentum and keep flying through the air. And Kefri uses this to land jump shots that the enemy can't really expect. These are good if you can land them. I personally don't go for them too often because I'm not confident enough with my Widowmaker to land those shots. Honestly, I don't think anybody should be doing these unless you're Masters and above. And honestly, I don't think my Widowmaker is Masters and above. I didn't climb to Masters using Widowmaker. I did it using Zarya. So my Widowmaker probably can't contest with Master tier Widowmaker players. Below Masters, I wouldn't use this technique. You can try it. You can experiment with it. It is a good 1v1 tool because you're going to be gaining a lot of momentum, so you're a very hard target to hit, while the enemies are kind of standing or moving on the ground, meaning they're going to be kind of slow, giving you a pretty big advantage. But still, it's not easy to land, so I don't recommend doing it too often. You can use this jump technique, though, to get to certain locations and new areas because, like I said, if you hit spacebar before you hit where you grappled to, you maintain your momentum and fly through the air. So you can use it in other ways other than just going for jump shots, but I figured I'd tell you that because this is the Ultimate Widowmaker Guide. Now let's talk about another part of Widowmaker's kit, an interesting part because many people use it very differently, and that is Widowmaker's Venom Mine. Widowmaker's Venom Mine is kind of like a grenade. You launch it, except it sticks to wherever it hits, and it only goes off when someone walks near it. When this happens, it activates and deals 75 damage to this person over the course of the next few seconds, and tells you that it has been triggered, alerting you of someone's location. Another tidbit of information is that it also reveals Sombra while she's stealth because it deals damage to her, and damage reveals her. So it actually is a pretty good counter tool to Sombra. This ability is a tricky one, and I'm going to go out and say there's many different ways you can be using it. I personally like to vary between the two main ways, those being, one, using it offensively, trying to just shoot it into groups of enemies to get cheeky damage off, or two, putting it somewhere where it can protect yourself. And both of these methods are actually very viable. Protecting yourself is very powerful as Widowmaker, obviously, because you are very vulnerable at close range, so putting it somewhere where you suspect enemies will come from can help you a lot. The problem is, though, people like Genji and a lot of flankers in the game can just bypass these, so that's why you don't see it being used this way all the time. I've seen Kefri do this more than once, where he just launches his grenades into groups of enemies and tries to get some cheeky damage off. Because it deals 75 damage to anyone within a 3-meter radius, you could be potentially dealing upwards of 200 damage if you hit 3 enemies with it. Now, this doesn't always happen, but when you can pull it off, it actually gives your team quite an advantage in a few different ways. For one, if you take down 3 people's health bars by 75, that's a huge advantage on its own, or even 2 or 1 person. Another reason this helps you is because sometimes you don't always know if you can get the headshot. If you've hit someone with the Venom Mine, though, you don't always need the headshot, because they'll be a little bit lower on HP than they were before, so you could go for the body shot, or still go for the headshot, but if you happen to hit the body shot, well, the Venom Mine will finish them off. So you can use it in either way. Like I said, I try to vary up the ways I use this. I sometimes put it somewhere where I can protect myself with it, and there are other times where I try to get damage off with it, using it like a grenade. It really depends on the enemy team's composition. If they're focusing you, you should definitely probably try to protect yourself, unless they're running people that just bypass it anyway, in which case you might as well not waste it. And if they're not focusing you, well, you have a free 75 damage you can be using, so shoot that at enemies and try to make it work. Widowmaker's final ability, her ultimate ability, is INFRA, and I'm sure we all know what it does. Allows you to see enemies through walls, and it also reveals Sombra now when she's invisible, which is pretty nice. INFRA should not be underestimated by you or your opponent, because it makes every good Widowmaker a great Widowmaker, a killing machine. It essentially makes it so you don't need as high of a reaction time to kill someone who's about to walk around the corner, because you know when they're going to walk around the corner, and you know how tall they are, you know who they are, and you know if you can actually take them out. It also makes it so you don't have to be wide out in the open when you're sniping. You can back around walls and use your INFRA and only peek when you know you have a shot ready to go and lined up. Normally, you'd be sitting in the open trying to line up shots, but you can now line up your shots behind walls because you have INFRA and then peek, take the shot, and then recover back behind the wall. As Widowmaker, you should basically be using this on cooldown. Not exactly on cooldown, because you always want to get the most out of it, but within like 30 seconds of you getting this ultimate, you should be using it. Right when the enemy team is about to push, or if you're in the middle of a fight, just use it right away, or if you think you can get at least one pick using this, use it. The only time you really shouldn't be using it is if the whole enemy team is in their spawn, or you just got like a team kill. Other than that, be using this thing very frequently. Your INFRA doesn't really change anything when you have it, other than the fact that you can see people through walls, so use that to your advantage. For now, let's move on and look at the bigger picture with Widowmaker before we move on to counters. Right now, let's talk about how you should be playing Widowmaker. Now that we've gone over her entire kit, let's see what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. The game lists Widowmaker as a defensive hero, but the game is blatantly lying to you, because Widowmaker is far better on attack. You can use her on defense, and I like to a lot of the time, but there are other heroes better for that. Mainly, Widowmaker should be played on attack, simply because one pick can usually lead you to taking the objective, and more than one pick will almost always lead you to taking the objective. So on attack, this is going to be very useful. On defense, it's not as useful, because getting one pick sometimes just makes the enemy team retreat, and while that is valuable, it's not as valuable as that pick you would have gotten on attack. Also, when you're on defense, you are much more predictable as Widowmaker. They know your sniping locations, they know where you are, and oftentimes a defensive Widowmaker is sitting still, because she doesn't have to push, she just has to watch the objective and not let anyone near it. So by watching the objective, you're already narrowing down possible locations where you are at. The enemy team knows you're watching it somewhere, or you should should be watching it somewhere, so that gives them a general idea of where you are, and it makes it a little easier to take you out. So to combat this, on defense, you want to vary up your position a lot of the time. Make sure you're keeping your grappling hook on cooldown, as we suggested earlier. Use it appropriately, but there are definitely some things you can be doing as Widowmaker to keep varying up your position. Go from high points to low points a lot of the time. This will throw enemies off a lot, because if they look at the wrong location for even a split second, usually you can take them out. Also, moving from left to right or one side of the objective to the other is a given. You should be doing that a lot, and you should never really be sitting in the same spot for more than like one team fight. As Widowmaker, you need to be taking out at least one enemy and dealing damage to at least one other enemy to justify that pick. And if you don't know what this means, Overwatch consists of 6v6. Yes, every big team fight is usually a 6v6 in the beginning. If you're Widowmaker, you're not in the team fight, you're sitting in the back. So if you're missing all your shots, your team is fighting a 5v6, and your team is at a disadvantage. If you take one person out, your team is fighting a 5v5, and that's pretty even. You still haven't justified your pick yet. If you take one person out and then damage another person or take another few people out, that is when you're putting your team at an advantage with Widowmaker. If you're not able to do this, you shouldn't be playing Widowmaker. You need more practice. You need to at least take out one person and then do some damage or do something else to the rest of their team to put your team at an advantage. Now let's move on to the matchup section of this video, where we talk about some more specific strategies and ways you should be playing Widowmaker against various heroes. Let's start with the offensive heroes in Overwatch, the ones that usually have high mobility, or they're a flanker, or they can just put out a lot of damage. These are Genji, McCree, Pharah, Reaper, Soldier 76, Sombra, and Tracer. Genji, Tracer, and Sombra are all going to be pretty big threats to you, because they're constantly going to be trying to take you out, because once you're taken out, that is their ticket. That is how they've put their team at an advantage. So what you need to be doing is watching out for these three heroes. Genji can oftentimes bypass your Venom mine, so honestly, it's sometimes not even worth placing, because with his Swift Strike and his wall climbing and double jumping, he can get to you in a variety of ways. Tracer and Sombra, though, they'll oftentimes hit it because they don't have as much vertical mobility. Sombra does with her translocator, but if she uses it to just get to you, she's sacrificing a lot, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Place your Venom mine against Sombras and Tracers, and don't try to 1v1 them with your SMG. Really, only 1v1 them with your SMG as a last resort. Oftentimes it's better to try to line up a headshot when you can see them coming for you, or try to just grapple away to a teammate, because both of these heroes will destroy you in a 1v1. Genji, you can actually sometimes 1v1 with your SMG depending on how good the enemy Genji is, but it's risky, and honestly it's safer to just grapple away or try to line up the headshot. One other thing you should be aware of with Genji is his deflect. Honestly, I just hate shooting at Genjis unless they've used their deflect. I try to not shoot at Genjis at all unless I know their deflect is on cooldown, because deflecting a headshot back to you is the most it's the most frustrating thing in the world, and they can do it instantly. So don't try it. Don't try to headshot a Genji unless he's either not looking at you or his deflect is on cooldown. Pharah, Reaper, and McCree shouldn't be really big problems for you because they're all pretty slow. Pharah can fly, yes, but she's just painting a target. She basically is saying, hey, Widowmaker, kill me, I'm right here. Even if you land body shots, you can usually get the kill because it only takes 2 fully charged body shots, and if Pharah is in the air, where is she going to escape to? So just think about that. Even body shots on Pharah are fine. Reaper is just slow. Watch out for him teleporting. McCree can be annoying if he shoots you a few times, but just, make sure you don't peek him when you're on low HP, because if he can one-shot you with a pistol round, don't peek him. But until he gets you to that low amount of HP, you have an advantage over him in long-range fights. So even if you go for body shots once again, he doesn't have a lot of escape material, so you can usually get him once again. Soldier is interesting. He's actually a tricky target sometimes. He runs really fast, so when he's sprinting and jumping, it can be hard to hit him with a headshot, but where he really gets hard to hit is when he's shooting at you. When he's shooting at you, you should probably back up unless you're some insane Widowmaker, because every time he hits you with a bullet, it punches your aim, and when he's punching your aim and moving your crosshair, it is so hard to land a headshot. And body shots on this guy are kind of useless. He'll just heal them up or run away. You need to get the headshot on Soldier. If he starts shooting at you, back up, find a new location, focus on someone else, but make sure you're not trying to shoot while being aim punched. Now let's move on and talk about the defensive heroes you'll encounter as Widowmaker. Two very easy matchups for you. Actually, 3 easy matchups for you include Junkrat, Mei, and Torbjorn. Torbjorn shouldn't really be a problem. He often moves pretty slow, and you can take out his turrets pretty easily from long range. Junkrat can't even hit you from long range because his frags you can visibly see coming and they don't really move that far. And Mei is a super easy target to headshot because she doesn't have a lot of mobility. Mei, though, you should watch out for a little bit because if she's right clicking at you while you are scoped in on her, she can get a lot of damage off on you, but you should be able to take her out before she takes you out. Bastion is somewhat a medium matchup. When he's in recon mode and walking around, yeah, he's no problem. You can take him out easy. But when he sits down and goes into sentry mode, if he's facing you, it takes like 3 body shots to kill him. 3 fully charged shots to kill him, or like 2.5 or something. Regardless, 2 of the shots need to be fully charged, and he's a Bastion who does a lot of damage. So I'd definitely be watching out for him. When he's not looking at you, you can oftentimes get a lot of damage off on him. You can probably get 2 charged shots off, and that's enough to either get him to stand up and try to run away, or just get him behind a shield, or, you know, to back off. Either way, but don't try to 1v1 a Bastion if he sees you. If he doesn't see you, you probably have the advantage. If you're on the side of him, you have an advantage. You're behind him because you can shoot his weak spot. But if you are just facing off, you won't win that fight. Don't try it. The 2 hard matchups are Hanzo and other Widowmakers. Hanzo is a hard matchup because he can move while shooting. Unlike you don't really move too much when you're scoped in. And Hanzo loves stationary targets. So when you're trying to 1v1, if you miss that headshot, you better get moving, because if he knows where you are and you're standing still, he will jump around a corner and fire his arrow at you and probably kill you, because he can jump and he can be a little bit more mobile while firing. And that's going to be harder for you to hit than it will be for him to hit, because you're really stationary as Widowmaker. So that's going to be kind of a threat. Try to get the first shot off on Hanzo because you have the advantage there, but after that, you need to relocate after every shot, or just try to move or something, because Hanzo will mess you up. Widowmaker is an extremely hard matchup, depending on who the better Widowmaker is. If it's you, you'll oftentimes win. If it's them, you'll oftentimes lose, and you don't really have much you can say about it. If the enemy team has a better Widowmaker than you, sometimes it's just worth switching if you're just not getting the picks you need, because they just keep taking you out. However, there are a few ways you should be doing Widowmaker 1v1s to help you get that little advantage that you need. For one, go for the fully charged shot if the enemy Widowmaker doesn't see you. But if you're both facing off at each other, you never want to try to fully charge your shot, because you don't know when the enemy Widowmaker started charging hers. So you have no idea if she can get the charged shot off on your head, or if you can get your charged shot off on her head first. And it's really a gamble as to who wins that fight. And you don't want to gamble. You want fights in your favor. So what you're really going to want to do as Widowmaker is use your grappling hook, use mobility, and use not fully charged shots to your advantage. Lots of Widowmakers like to sit there and try to fully charge a shot on the enemy Widowmaker. This gives you a window of opportunity where you can put like a 50% charged shot right into their head and then jump, and then they'll probably miss their charged shot because they weren't expecting that. They weren't expecting to get hit and then you jumped, meaning they'll miss the shot. And that's when you charge another shot up to about 50% and fire again into their head, because either they are charging another shot or trying to escape, because you just took out a lot of their HP. Either way, you don't want to give the enemy Widowmaker enough time to fully charge a shot. Use 50% charged shots. Use 10% charged shots. Whatever it takes, never give the enemy Widowmaker enough time to line up a shot on your head that they think is enough damage. Keep shooting. Use your grappling hook. Go for the grapple shot if you need to. And use lower charged shots instead of just one big charge, because the enemy is going to be thrown off. You'll be a little bit more mobile during the fight, and you can usually win. Now let's move on and talk about how you should be dealing with tanks as Widowmaker. There are only 2 tanks that are actually a direct threat to you that can really get all up in your face, and those are D.Va and Winston. When Winston jumps on you, you better hope you have your grappling hook ready, because he will kill you much faster than you can kill him, unless you landed a fully charged shot on his head when he was jumping towards you. If you did this, Winston is now only on 300 HP, or something around there, 50% HP basically. And with this in mind, you can easily take him out. You can win that 1v1 simply with your SMG if you land enough headshots. Just beware, if he uses his bubble properly and stays in between you and his shield, it's not going to be easy to take him out, and he'll often kill you. But if you can keep getting those headshots on him, if you get the headshot while he's in air jumping towards you, you can oftentimes win the fight. So keep that in mind. D.Va can fly up towards you and get all up in your face, but just remember, she's totally harmless to you as Widowmaker. And this isn't just me hating on D.Va, she actually is. As a good Widowmaker, you can always escape from a D.Va. First reason is you can see her coming from a mile away. She's all loud and annoying, and she has giant thrusters, so you can hear and see her right when she starts to fly towards you. She's not like Winston where she jumps on you very quickly. It takes her a few seconds to fly to you. In these few seconds, you can simply A, run away and get to your team, grapple to a new location where she can't get to, or just laugh at her and then make fun of her for playing D.Va in competitive or in quick play or anywhere. Why is she playing D.Va? All jokes aside, D.Va's actually pretty good right now in the meta, but she does not counter you as Widowmaker. Just when you see her coming, when you hear her coming, back off and try to escape. Don't try to 1v1 her. She has so much HP, it's not going to go well. She has so much armor, it's not going to go well. Don't even go for the headshot trick like on Winston where you headshot her once and then try to 1v1 her, because she still has a lot of armor. She can still get out of her mech, and she's just still annoying. Like I said, a big mosquito. When you see her coming, back away, get to the safety of your team, and just play further back. She's not going to come for you when you are back way far behind your team, when you're away from combat, because if she does, she is being wasted. Your team can probably win that fight because they're without one of their main tanks, and that is an advantage for your team. So just run away from D.Va. That's all you have to do to counter her, is just don't stay close to her. Roadhog and Zarya, nothing to really fret about. Go for the 2 headshots on Roadhog, because 2 fully charged headshots is all it takes to kill him. Zarya, it takes the same amount, 1 charged headshot and then like a 75% charged shot. Just beware, she usually shields after you land 1 headshot, which you may think is bad because you can't finish her off for the kill, but a lot of the times that's actually really good. You've just taken away one of her key abilities, one of her 2 abilities, and if you communicate that to your team, they should have no problem taking the Zarya out, or at least stalling out the enemy team's push. Reinhardt is a pain, not because he can kill you, not because he should ever even deal damage to you, but because of his shield. Anyone behind that thing cannot be one-shot by you, and you as Widowmaker should not be going for the shield. Don't shoot at the shield. Never shoot at a Reinhardt shield as Widowmaker. When you fire a shot at the shield, you give the enemy teams a window of opportunity where they are safe from headshots, and they can kind of peek out and be a little bit more aggressive for the next like half a second. And that doesn't sound like a lot. Trust me, it doesn't, but it is. It's huge. If you shoot at the shield, you are taking yourself out of combat for the next few seconds, and for what? A minimal amount of damage on the shield? It's really not a lot, and it really shouldn't be shot at. You want to save your shots for when someone peeks out and they're not behind that Reinhardt shield, whenever they walk in front of it or they're too far behind it and you can see over it. Those are the times you want to shoot. Not at the shield though. Now, the last category of heroes you will encounter as Widowmaker are the supports, and the only one that should really give you problems is Ana. Maybe Zenyatta and maybe Lucio, but Ana mainly, because she's also a sniper. If Ana sees you first, she can take you out sometimes if you're not good at landing headshots, because we have to remember, Ana only needs to land body shots, and she has a higher rate of fire than you, and you're pretty immobile, so she can take you out super fast. Not to mention, it is really easy to sleep a Widowmaker. Super easy to sleep a Widowmaker, and she will do that to you, and once you're slept, she will engage on your team, and your team is at a huge disadvantage. So for Ana, watch out. Try to get that first headshot off on her. If she lands a body shot on you, and she is aimed at you, you shouldn't be fighting that. You should back off, because she's going to win it, because she's going to aim punch you, she can sleep you, and she can also self-heal, remember, so don't really try to fight it. Zenyatta, you have to watch out for, because his Orb of Discord and his Orbs of Destruction, while normally are hard to land, you're really immobile. So he can fire at you and take you out pretty easily, unless you see him first. If you see Zenyatta first, he should not be a problem, because his head is extremely easy to hit. It just hovers there. His body doesn't even like bobble at all. It just floats, so you can easily see where his head is and hopefully get that shot off on it to take him out. Lucio isn't a threat to you in that he can kill you. It's just a threat because with his speed boost, people are harder to shoot, so just be aware of that when you're against a Lucio. Other than that, Mercy and Symmetra are totally not a threat to you as Widowmaker, so don't even worry about about them. Just land those easy headshots and make them go back to the spawn room. If you're watching this guide later, maybe not the day it came out, check for a pinned comment down in the description. I'm going to pin a comment to the top of the comment section that has any changes that occurred to Widowmaker that maybe changed the guide up a little bit, or anything I got wrong. That way this guide is as perfect as it can be. If y'all enjoyed, be sure to leave me one of those likes. Or actually, let's do it this way. If you've ever been flamed for playing Widowmaker, how about you leave a like? Boom, I just got every Widowmaker main out there. Just give me a like. Beautiful. Also, you should subscribe. Not because I'm telling you to, but because it's the right thing to do. I know deep down in your heart, you know you want to subscribe to this channel. You know you want to be the best Overwatch player ever. And if you want to be that player, this is the channel for you. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys all later. Lone Hawk out.